Hi, this is Mark from Eva's Insights, bringing you hope and inspiration to empower life and overcome challenge. And today's video is about creating hope and what hope is. So going straight in there, let's talk about this word hope. Mentioned it before in the last video, and it's very important to life. It's basically in everything we do. So if we don't think about it, we use hope in everything. And I've already been asked to tone down the hope word because we keep saying it a lot, and we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning if we didn't have it, like I said in the last video. And also it's so subtle in everything we do, we don't even realise we're doing it. So say for example, take something very simple, we go down the shops for some milk, tea, coffee, sugar, all that stuff. You go to one of the main supermarkets, you're pretty certain you're going to go and get it, unless the shop is closed or they've run out of stock, which is very unlikely if it's a big supermarket. If you were going to go to the shops and you knew it was closed, then you would have to have a fair amount of hope to know that you're going to get the stuff, because you think, hang on a minute, it's closed. Unless you're going to try and break in, it's not going to work. So you know the chances of getting that stuff is not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. So you need more hope in that situation. Say for example, you were going to go down a shop for bananas. If bananas had a famine and everybody's fighting in the streets for the bananas because they're all going out of stock, and you were going down the shops to get those, then there's less likelihood that they're going to be in there because they're in such high demand. So you're going to have to be more hopeful that you're going to get them. So what you're going for, or what you're doing, the activity in life that you're doing will be dependent on the amount of hope you need for that activity. So something you're pretty certain about getting, don't need a lot of hope for. Something you are not sure that you're going to get the outcome, then you need a lot of hope for. And that maintaining and creating that hope as the volume turns up on some of your life situations and challenges, that's what we're looking at in this video. So first of all, everybody needs hope. Like I said, it's in all our lives. It's there. It's the fabric of life. We go forward to something. Every goal we set, every outcome we go for, every result we're looking for, with a positive expectancy, requires hope. It can be a culmination of a lot of different things. It can't be defined to one thing exactly, but it's like a feeling. So like normally an optimistic feeling of an outcome. It's a way forward. If you've got like, say you're going for something, you're not quite sure how to get it, and you're thinking, oh, man, I'm not sure how to do this. But then you've got like a plan to doing it and getting there and making it happen. That can supply you with hope. If there's a next step, even if you don't know what the end goal is, how to get there in the plan, but you've got a next step to move on to. Even if you don't get the outcome you're going for, but there's a potential that you could get that is enough to give you some hope as well. So all of these things go together to create this positive expectancy of an outcome. Whether you get it or not is dependent on life and what the variables are going towards getting that thing. It's the feelings of hopefulness that you get from those variables I've just mentioned. Why do we need hope? So challenges, life has challenges. That's something we've all got in common. And from the day we're born to the day we pass over to the next thing, we've all got challenges, and challenges are there for a reason. Say for example, you go into the gym and you pick up the weights and you think, well, this is quite light. Say you spend about an hour in there on the reps with a very, very light weight and it's having no effect at all. You come out there and say, well, I've had a really good workout. Someone says, okay, how much did you lift? Not much really. Didn't feel like I was doing anything. There wasn't much challenge there, wasn't much resistance. So the chances of you getting a lot out of that is very, very slim. So the more resistance you've got put onto your load into life, the more challenge you have, the more it's going to make you grow and expand and learn new things, become new things. And that's the purpose of challenge. The problem with challenge is if it's too much and it becomes too overwhelming. That's when it can start to get on top of you and it can weigh you down. And when that happens, you can start to feel very drained, flat, tired, overwhelmed, exhausted. And that's when people tend to feel like they're trapped, or they've got no way forward, or they feel quite depressed, down, and sometimes people just give up altogether. And that is the downside of challenge. So say if you're going into the gym, you're doing work is stress to your body, it's the same thing, and to your mind, but that stress in the right amount will help you grow. The challenge in the right amount will help you grow. But if it's too much and too overwhelming, like if you went into the gym and tried to lift a really heavy weight, you'd probably injure yourself or damage yourself, or it'll be too much for you to handle. So the idea is to lighten the load. How to create hope in a tough situation then? Well, as I've already mentioned in this video, it's very important to have something to aim for, and that something it doesn't have to be some grand, result or outcome at the end of it. It can be something very simple, very straightforward. So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I'd done a bungee jump in America, and it was the first. I just before that I'd done some roller coasters, and I'd never done them before either. So I was in that challenging mood. I was just quite young as well. I was in my 20s and stuff like that. So and I was just in the mode where I was just wanted to challenge myself all the time. And the friend I was with at the time, we had this thing where we'd dare each other to do something. He dared me to go on these roller coasters, and I thought, okay, right, I'll do it. And then we carried on like this. I was daring him to do stuff and whatever, karaoke's and whatever, and he'd have to do it. And then the final one is we saw this bungee jump, and I'd vowed I'd never do bungee jump ever. And he said, I dare you to do the bungee jump. And I'm thinking, right, so I'm in this quandary. Do I do it? Shall I not do it? Am I going to die from it or whatever? And all these things are going through my head. And eventually done it. And when I was standing on the platform looking out, and I thought to myself, I'm going to die. I'm just going to, and I was looking down, I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? This is just like a dare. And I'm standing here. And then I thought, right, and I was so convinced, even the night before, lying in bed, I didn't get any sleep at all. I was so convinced that I was going to die, have a heart attack, die of panic or whatever, or hit the floor or something. All these negative things were popping into my mind and causing this anxiety about it. And then the one thing in my mind, I thought, right, I want to get back home to England, and I want to listen to this certain track on a CD. I can't remember what it was at the time, but it was just something. It was like a house tune or something like that. I don't know whether, but it was. I thought that is my one goal. I want to go back and I want to do that, right? And it may sound really silly and it sound really minute, but it was something that gave me a drive to get through that situation. And then I started thinking, okay, if I get through this situation, and let's just say I don't die and I do manage to survive it, then what? Then that means I've just faced a massive fear, and then I've survived it. So then I can take that learning on into other situations. And eventually that's what happened. That I kept on thinking, right, I need to get home to listen to that track on the CD, and I kept repeating that in my mind. And then when I jumped off, I had the experience and whatever, and that was it. And what I'm saying is, you can use a big event to get you through to the end if you're using hope, but it's important to have something to aim for. And then obviously, if it's something quite minute, you can do it quite easily, and then you have to think of a next one. So ideally, if you've got something big to go for it, because then you can plan it out, and it's not something that can be achieved straight away. Especially if it's quite a difficult situation you're going through, then you can plan the steps through that difficulty and that challenge to go ahead. So have something to aim for, have a goal, and it doesn't have to be grand. It can be something minor, it can be something big, or you can have both. You can have something grand and something minor leading up to the grand end goal. That's one way of doing it. So always having something to aim for. Having something to aim for will keep you on track when the going gets really tough, or you get those tired and overwhelmed and then drained stages. Because if you keep on going forward, you can stick to your plan, then okay, right, I need to focus on this. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, tired, and I feel like I can't handle this anymore. What's the next stage of the plan? Oh yeah, I have to do this part. So okay, you've got something to keep on going. But that's important too. Sometimes you might not feel like you want to keep going through that resistance, or the negativity, but if you just keep on moving, then eventually you can break through with momentum. So the next stage really is hope is very important because it has to be created from within. Sometimes outside external influences can give you hope, but it has to come from within you. So that's dependent, because there's always two types of people dominantly within your personality. You're either one of two types of people. Now, one is where you go out and make things happen, and the other thing is that things are always happening to you. People who feel out of control with their lives, things are always happening to them. They feel like they've got no influence or control over all the events happening. Oh man, this person said this to me today and I feel really bad. All these stuff keeps on happening to me, and oh, somebody knocked into the side of my car today, and all this stuff keeps happening, and I'm just going to be really down and depressed and upset. And that's not to knock all them events, because like I said earlier on today, things can overwhelm people, and that's a natural part of life. Then there's the other type of people who just think, okay, all this stuff's happening. How am I going to get through it? How, it's all crazy, it's all part of life. How am I going to get through it and get it done and just get to a better place? And then you go out and create your own environment. So when it comes to being hopeful on something and creating that, you need to be able to be the creator type, where you can go out and create something, because most of the time you're going to be creating this optimistic outlook of hope out of thin air, out of nothing, and you'll be the only person that will be doing that. Do you mean you might have a ton of people saying to you, "Nah, you can't do this," or you can't do that, or "Nah, this doesn't look right," or "Do you mean why don't you just give up on it and stuff?" And the only person you'll have to push you through is you. So it's very important that you create your own hope from within. Going on from that, so have something to aim for, be able to create your own hope, and that being able to create hope is about giving yourself some mental time to focus on what you're doing and why you want to do it. So write it all down if you need to. Talk to other people that you trust as well. That's another good thing. You can get support in if you've got it. If you don't have it, then you don't have it. But if you can get help and support from other people who you trust and you can talk openly with and say, this is what I'm thinking of doing, or even people who are specialists in the fields of different areas you're going into, you can talk to them, and then they can give you their input, and then you can put that towards your plan of moving forward. It has to basically come from you. Get the support, and then it's all about just giving yourself that time and that space in order to, if you've got a lot of overwhelming things and they're coming in at once, try and get them into individual components. So you can't deal with everything at once by yourself. So you might get a family or friend member to take over some areas, or you might decide to do it all yourself. If you've got no choice, then do things one at a time. Just get everything into a priority listing of what needs to be done first, and then go through one stage at a time. And as you work through the most important things, maybe the most time demanding one that needs to be done right now, as you move through, then you'll start to break through the barrier and you'll be able to go out the other side. If this video has been useful to you, then please give me your thumbs up and your comments below. Subscribe to the channel if this video has been useful and you want to see more of the same. If it's useful to somebody else, then share it across, please. Sharing is caring. And I will be following up with some videos with some other insights into life, and different ways to empower yourself in certain situations. And I will see you in the next video.